here's the hire and fire cycle that business owners get themselves into that's super costly from a time and revenue standpoint, but avoidable. I see this, we oftentimes see this with business owners who are going to externalize some of the services or support in their business. So say you're hiring an outsourced marketing or sales firm. You hire that firm and the expectation is that they're going to fix whatever is wrong within your marketing or within your sales process to help get you to some milestone. That's kind of the standard thought, right? What often happens internally, though, is that you don't have the systems within your business to support the function of those people. So say you want someone to be your salesperson, but you don't have a CRM and you don't have a CRM set up and you don't have any SOPs around how a CRM should function. You haven't identified the key functions in your business or the key workflows in your business that are going to support your clients, your services. How do you want those things to feel? What is the tone that you want in those emails? You haven't really worked all of that stuff out. So what happens then is this third party, this outsourced party comes in, and their first task is to help create the operating system for whatever it is that you've hired them for. In this case, in our example, sales. So they'll work on your CRM, they'll build out automations, they'll build out funnels, they'll build out all these things, dashboards, all of those things. And for a while that works, right? In the initial period, usually every business owner has goals. They have expectations around what they want out of this hire. Well, setting up your system, creating the structure of your CRM and your sales process alone is in and of itself a massive task. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of iterations to perfect. So while you're saying, well, I'm going to hire this person and in a month I expect to have 20 clients, and we love that for you. We love that for you. We do. The reality is that team is going to come in and have to create the infrastructure that you didn't have so that can support all the other things that they'll do as part of your engagement. But you not maybe realizing that may feel like, hey, my expectation was this was going to happen in 30 days. Not possible. Now, it's okay if you're at the place where you say, well, I know there's an onboarding portion to this and I'm going to wait it out. That's totally fine. And oftentimes outsourced companies will have like a window where they expect you to kind of stay on with them while they get some things set up, with the realization that most business owners who are outsourcing may not have all of these things put in place. So maybe that's built in, maybe it's not. Now that person works for you, you reach certain milestones at some point, and this is actually a sign of a healthy business. At some point, you decide, I want to start to transition some of those things internally. It's time for me to make the transition to having internal ownership of whatever this outsourced process was. Amazing, because that means that you're ready to have command control. You're ready to put the captain's hat on and make it happen at the rate and depth that you want it to happen. You can't have that kind of command and control with an outsourced firm. So wonderful. So once you've made that decision, you go out and you start to hire people to fill that role. And what you're maybe missing in that process is you've never had to really hire for that role because the third party or the outsourced company did it for you because they already had existing talent. So maybe you don't have all of the kind of bells and whistles worked out on what that role really is, what should that person be doing, all of that. But nonetheless, you've gone out and you've hired this new person to take over this process. The firm goes away and this new person takes over. The challenge there is the system that was built, the flow, all the workflows, all of the functions were built by that external party. So you actually don't have an internal doctrine around that, nor do you have a process that you've trained anyone on to help implement that process. The best thing you could do to kind of overcome some of those speed bumps is hire someone with a lot of experience that can help smooth your transition. But that's really person dependent. And you don't, again, want the outcome of some big portion of your business to be dependent on, a single or couple individual new hires. Ideally, you'd have a system that is, you understand enough that it feels native to your business, that when you bring that person on, then they can take over the operation and make a smooth transition. Oftentimes, that's not what happens. Oftentimes, business owners lose months and months and months and months of time after making the transition to an internal management system because they didn't have the infrastructure to begin with. And now the infrastructure has been built by an external party who absolutely is not going to sit there and train your staff on how to replace them. That would be nice. Honestly, I don't think I'm that altruistic, but I'm sure there's some firms out there. More often than not, it's kind of like, okay, here's all the things, here's the executive summary and how things go, and off you go. The reality is these systems are living. They're oftentimes changing. And then when you have the third party person, they were probably managing that on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, if not daily. So you once again have to go over that bump of getting started again. This new internal hire now has to try to either understand the architecture that was built for them or rebuild it in a way that makes more sense for internal management of the company. Realizing that something that is done externally and built for an external use doesn't always match or fit for internal use. So again, there's a little bit of a lag as that new person gets brought on, and depending on the extent to which this internal system needs to be rebuilt, that's months and months and months gone. So we have the hire and the fire and the hire cycle, because ultimately, if that new individual or individuals don't deliver on the intended objective of bringing that function into the business, they get fired. You replace them. The next person comes in and they have to do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's how you get in the hire fire cycle. So what's the alternative? The alternative, it would be for you as the business owner to have your own internal brand operating system. You'll hear me say this a lot. The brand operating system is it's a consolidated workflow and function. It tells what everyone is supposed to be doing, what does success look like, which software tools are we using for what, who's trained on what, how often does this need to be audited, how do these things fit together? And then most importantly, the piece that most people don't talk about is how does the psychology of me as the business owner or the founder impact these systems? Are there things that I need to work on in order to optimize the way these things work? And then how does a team operate around this system? It is the Bible of how your business should function. If you have an internal brand operating system, then when you hire this third party or this outsourced sales firm, they fall in on an existing process that actually has been built custom to your business, not been built by them to fit into their workflow, which they have to now balance across multiple clients. It's been built and it's native to you. It is something you understand intuitively to your business. And when you go to hire that next person, all of the playbooks and SOPs that are related to that portion of your brand operating system already exists within your business. So training that new person on your native system becomes much easier. The delay to getting the ROI on that hire is reduced significantly. And now you have something that is replicable and can actually scale as your business continues to grow. That's the better choice than having an external party build a very complex system for your business that you all have no awareness of how it works. It works really well when you're partnered with that firm, but the minute they step off or they take their foot off the gas, you start to see the holes and the cracks. So that is one of the things that we talk a lot about with when we think about this. And it's also one of the reasons why when you're starting to make that transition from an external outsourced party to an internal party, it's important for you to take a step back. And before you send that email, before you make that call, I don't care how mad you are about whatever service you did or did not receive, take a step back and think about all of the pieces that they may have been that they may have been owning, and which ones need to be rebuilt natively to your business. And hold on to that relationship while you rebuild and establish a steady state. That might mean spending time with that company and learning about what all are they actually working on. The processes and SOPs that they use to manage your company are going to be very different from the ones that you use to manage your company, because oftentimes those are built within the context of having to manage multiple people who are doing multiple different things. That's not what you're going to have to do. You're going to be focused just on your business. So hiring, for example, a firm like Rethink Science, where we come in and we do that analysis for you and we have those conversations for you, build out the SOPs based on those conversations, and then help structure the entire operating system around either that function or across the entire business, can help smooth the transition from an outsourced service to an internal service and ensure that your business keeps the integrity within its process throughout that transition. So that's why we want to avoid the hire and fire cycle, and that's the importance of having a brand operating system.